Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight on Real Talk with Jean Price. Listen, we have such an exceptional show for you tonight. You don't want to miss it. I want every lady you can find, I want you to find them. I want you to tell them to tune in. Tell them Jean Price, you all know me, is live on Real Talk. We want you to tap into tonight's show. We're going to talk about some stuff, ladies, that we need to talk about. But listen, it's been such a great pleasure, and the summer is really just beginning. On behalf of my team and I want to thank you all for every week that you come on, you support us, you let us know how much you appreciate the conversations that we have. We talk about real stuff that's really affecting us as women, as men, all across the board. And we have some part two shows that are going to be coming up over the summer. But tonight is such a good show, and I really want you to take the time to share. We want you to watch the replay. Whatever it takes, I want you to see this show. I want to welcome my guest tonight. She's been on Real Talk before, but every time she comes on this show, it is absolutely impactful. So I said to my guest when we were in, kind of preparing, the word that I thought about before she came and we were kind of chit-chatting a little bit was authentic. And I love the fact she's authentic. I love her. She's just amazing to me. So without further ado, right, help me to welcome my guest to Real Talk with Jean Price, Dr. Tay. Come on over.
Hey, Lady Price, how are you?
I am so good, Dr. Tay. Oh my goodness, you know how I feel about you. You know how I feel. But
Likewise.
thank you so much for agreeing to be on Real Talk. Always a pleasure, always a joy. You always bring something. You know what word comes to mind? Measurable. You always bring something measurable that's like, oh my goodness, I can literally take this and I can do something with it. So, Dr. Tay, for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. I am Dr. Tay Bassett. I am a psychologist, associate pastor, author. Recently released my first book. I'm also a professor and a number of other things. Oh, can't forget the biggest full-time job there is. I am a mom to two wonderful children, 6 going on 16 and 8 going on 40. That's what I always say.
I understand.
Sure.
Wow. Well, Dr. Tay, thank you so much. We're going to dive right into this topic,
Sounds
becoming
good.
your best you.
Yes.
I just took a breath on that one. Why don't you just go ahead and open us all up? Come on, ladies, open us up. How do we even begin to become the best version of ourselves?
I think the most important thing and the first step is that we admit that there's room for improvement. A lot of people are unable to change or make changes or accept changes because they haven't first accepted the fact that there's space for change.
Right.
You
Oh,
can't fix something that you don't think is broken.
yeah.
So that's
And
the first step to becoming your best you.
that is so good because do you think we're afraid because right now we're talking about women. Do you think we're afraid to see that other side of us? Like we don't what is it that stops us, you know?
Absolutely. I've heard people who don't have mirrors in their house because they don't want to see. Or a friend of mine who's not a woman, but said, you know what? I know I need therapy, but I'm afraid to go to therapy because of
Yeah.
what it might bring out.
Wow.
So sometimes we are deathly afraid
Yeah.
of what we don't see or what the possibility is.
Yeah, that is so true. So oftentimes, Dr. Tay, people talk about trauma as to why people gain weight via stress eating, etc. How important is it for people to one understand how addictive food can be, but also understand that they can be an underlying reason why we overeat? And I must say, let me put my finger up or undereat, because when I went through trauma
Hmm.
and stress, I go the opposite way. I look like I'm sick. I look
Hmm.
really emaciated. I just look bad. Let's talk about that for a few minutes.
Well, overeating or undereating is a diagnostic criteria for some trauma
Yeah.
trauma diagnoses or anxiety disorders. Some people who have anxiety, I've publicly shared that I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, and I knew that something was off because the anxiety had become normal to me. But I knew something was off because I would eat like once a day, but my stomach was always in knots. So I
Oh,
was kind of like you with not eating a lot.
yeah.
And when I did eat, I went to the bathroom because it's like, you get that nervous stomach. I had a nervous stomach constantly. So that can be, by itself, under eating or overeating, it's like, maybe you had a stressful day and you forgot to eat a meal. But if it's ongoing and it's chronic, it could be uh, a sign of something bigger. Like maybe it's something physiological, like a medical disorder, or maybe it's something psychological and it's a psychological diagnosis. So it's really, you have to take the signs and the symptoms of certain things together with everything else that's going on.
Right, right. That makes a lot of sense. Let me read this to you. Health Harvard reported that during the height of the pandemic, this is interesting, 39% of patients gained weight during the pandemic. Should we change the way we assess PTSD as it relates to food?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say that we should change the way we assess it. I think, as speaking from a clinical perspective, we should be more diligent
Oh, yeah.
and intentional about how we assess it, because the criteria is the same. The
Okay.
criteria hasn't changed for the diagnosis of, let's say, uh, post traumatic stress disorder. But we also have to take into consideration the pandemic. There are things that we've experienced in this century that we didn't experience the last time there was a pandemic. And most of us weren't even here.
Right.
So, while we might glaze over the food questions, we
Mhm.
might want to be more intentional, because what happened? We were sheltering in place.
Yeah.
We were home.
Yeah.
I know that I started my DoorDash, Dash Pass, Uber Eats, whatever, whatever, during the pandemic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I created one of those most of those accounts during the pandemic.
Oh,
Leave it at the door, because I didn't want to eat. I mean, I didn't want to cook.
right.
I
Right.
I was exhausted because I was the remote teacher during the day, but I was also the remote therapist.
Tell
And
me.
then, there was so I was ordering out a lot. And yeah, that was the kind of the rule rather than the exception for everyone.
Mhm.
But when you're eating as a result of, a stressful day,
Mhm. Mhm.
or you're eating before you go to bed,
Yes.
having
Oh, yes.
snacks next
Yeah.
to the bed,
Yeah.
it could be an eating disorder or it could be an anxiety disorder. There's so many different things. And that's why it's important that people don't diagnose themselves. If they
Right.
feel like something is wrong, talk
Yeah.
to someone about it, whether it's your primary care physician, your psychologist, whatever the case may be.
So I want to dive into this, Dr. Tay. You have had an amazing weight loss journey.
Thank
So I
you.
want to start by saying, because it's talking about becoming your best you, right? How important, and well, let me say it this way. I want to start by talking about how important it is to have the right motivation. Because I think you and I were kind of talking about that, like this buddy system, this partnership. I need to talk about this motivation thing because I tried. I want you to honestly know I tried, but I need to be motivated.
Mhm.
I do.
It's so important, like having a support system
Yeah.
who of people who not only know what your goal is but support you in your goal.
Hmm.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like there in certain communities, people think that if you lose the weight with some kind of support system, whether it's a supplement or whether it's a group like Weight Watchers or something like that, then you're not strong enough.
Wow.
Like,
Oh,
you're not strong enough, or oh, you needed help to do it. And the thing that comes to mind is, you know, a lot of people, they want to lose weight for aesthetics. They want to lose weight for health.
yes.
That was my reason. Like, I
Okay.
need to be around for these kids. Even though one is mentally 40 already, he's still got a long way to go. So I
That's
need I need to add some time too. And I got to the point where it's just like, I'm not doing it by myself. I know what to do. I know how to replace, simple carbs with complex carbs. I know, but I'm not doing it. I needed the support. And support is so important. Like having friends who are doing the same thing at the same time, having friends who have gone through the process and can support you, having a coach. I have I have a coach. I still have a coach who
beautiful.
happens to be a doctor. And she's like, okay, well, I know this is a stressful time for you. So what are you eating or not eating? Like, it's important. And I went off on a tangent. The
It's
analogy,
okay. Go there.
if you have a broken bone,
Yeah.
your body is going to heal itself, right?
Mhm.
But the cast is there. in order to facilitate the process.
Love
So
it.
if you are not healthy, if you have diabetes, you
Mm,
have high blood pressure, you have high cholesterol, you have all these things going on, and you just mentally or physically cannot do what you need to do in order to change that, maybe
mhm.
you need assistance.
Yeah.
Like you, even if you use a supplement or you have a coach, at the end of the day, you are the one who is initiating the change.
Right.
You
Right.
just have help
Right.
because all of those other factors can't make you do something.
That's so
They
true.
can suggest it, but at the end of the day, you are the one who's putting the food in your mouth. You're the one who's taking supplements. You're the one who's listening to your coach.
And as you're talking, Dr. Tay, my mind is going to my mind. But even though you're just trying to discipline the body, but it first starts here. It's so
Oh yeah.
amazing. It starts up here. That's we have to do something right in our minds in order
Oh
to
yeah.
have that body. It's like the mind is here, but the body needs to follow.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, like, what's because I'm the kind of person where I don't like the gym. So, for the last week or so, I've been getting on the treadmill. But the
Mhm.
last couple of days, my mind, I've been telling this body, we're not going downstairs to the treadmill. I'm just being very honest. But I
You
understand it's something in my mind where I get going, but I don't want to complete it. Why?
mhm. And you know the benefits of getting on the treadmill.
Absolutely.
You know the benefits, but there's this mind there's a mind body connection, but sometimes there's a mind body disconnect. We're just like
Okay.
we know you need to be on in you we know we need to be in alignment, but
That's so good.
not today. Not
Right.
today. Like my mind knows that I want to be a size 6.
Hmm. Right.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yes.
but my body don't want to get out of bed to go to the gym. Like
No.
these are the real struggles that we have. So sometimes we need that additional support, and
Right.
that's okay. Doesn't make you less of a person. You're still getting results.
Right. So when you go through the process, or let's talk about your journey, is during the journey, did you reward yourself? And if you did, for the accomplishments, of course, did you reward yourself? And then how did you reward yourself?
That is a great question. And yes, yes,
Oh,
I did. So one thing I had my in order to reward yourself, you have to first establish goals that you're rewarding. And I
okay.
have my goal weight in mind, but I broke it down.
Okay.
So I kind of yo-yoed for a year and I said, okay, when I get back to the weight I was before I started putting everything in my face, that's one, and
Right.
when I, hit the next goal, it was like 10 pounds after that. So making the goals attainable and smaller. But I did actually what you're looking at is a reward. So when
Okay.
I hit a certain weight, I said, you know what, I'm going to take out my faux locks and I'm going to start my natural locks. And one of the reasons why it was a reward is it was it was expensive. I had to get the cut and the wash and the
Right.
retwist and all
Right.
that. But also at that weight, I was confident to have hair off of my face. If
Interesting.
in some of the pictures, I have my locks down.
That is
When I was twisting my hair, I have them down because then that covers some of the cheek.
wow.
When you are overweight and unhappy, you start to learn the tricks of the trade.
Wow. Look at
I was
that.
wearing well, I didn't even realize that. I'm wearing the same blazer. I was wearing that blazer because then you can't see the what do they call them,
Mm,
love handles? You couldn't see those. You could see everything else. But so you learn the tricks of the trade. So when I was comfortable with what my face looked like, I was like, okay, now I can start my locks.
wow.
That was my reward. That's been my most recent reward.
That's awesome. That is so good. Wow, wow. That was amazing. That's really good. So that was now I'm the kind of person, Dr. Tay, we're talking about it. When I try to reward myself in my mind, right, I like to run to something sweet to eat.
Mm.
It's just not right. It's not good for me in the sense I don't want to be a diabetic, and also too I gain weight.
Mhm.
What can I put in place of something sweet to reward myself? Because I think if I'm working hard, I just feel like I need to reward myself. I need to feel like I'm rewarding myself or I'm doing something. It's something I'm getting out of it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
We It's important for us to define what a reward is for ourselves.
Okay.
And some of us, especially those who find comfort in food, those of us who come from cultures where food is the focus of every event and
Mm-hmm.
for every life occasion, whether it's a repast or a baby shower, there's going to be food.
So be
Who all gonna be there and who
yes.
made the mac and cheese? You know
Right.
what I mean? We have to redefine what a reward is, because a reward can be something that's not edible. But of course, it makes sense if you go edible if you have been focused on food for so long. So really shifting our mindset, and if you want something that's edible, there's certain changes that you can make. So one thing that I've learned is stevia is a godsend. You just have to use it right.
Right.
Because I tried to use stevia many years ago and I must have like poured it on something and I was just like it had an aftertaste and I was just completely like disgusted, turned off. But stevia has really been like a lifesaver for me. So
Wow.
you can find something that's sweetened with stevia,
Mm,
or you can have fruit, which is sweet, and you
I
can
love, right.
you get creative, and I think that's part of sticking with any kind of healthy lifestyle. It's
Mhm.
getting creative. If it's working out, get creative with your workouts. Like, don't do the same thing all the time because you're going to get bored. Get
Right.
creative with what you're eating. If there's a certain protocol with what you're eating, like, don't eat spinach and grilled shrimp for 5 days straight. Like, your body's gonna get sick of it.
That
That's
is
honestly what happened to me. I had spinach like 3 or 4 days straight, and I was just like, "I don't wanna see another spinach leaf." You have to get creative. So, I think those are 2 things that are really helpful, redefining what a reward actually is and
mhm.
learning healthy replacements.
Yeah, I like that. So I wanna ask you then, Dr. Tate, did you have any setbacks? And if you did, how did you deal with them?
And those are the real questions that people don't ask. They
Yeah,
show the before and after, and people
right.
assume that it was, a straight shot, a
Yep,
quarter mile race,
yep.
and you won. Absolutely.
Okay.
I did tell you I had some ebbs and flows, and
Yes.
then my first goal was to get back to where I was.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes, I had setbacks. I had setbacks because I wasn't steadfast in the goal that I set for myself. Um, I had people who meant me well. I don't think they meant me any harm, but
Right.
it's just like, oh, this is my eating regimen. Okay, so I'm going to give you griot and black rice. No, what did I do? I ate it. You know what I mean? Because at
Okay.
the end of the
Wow,
day,
okay.
you're the one who makes the decision, right?
Yeah.
So I made the decision to kind of drop the ball. But
Mm,
then I realized that I had kind of undone all the progress that I made. So that's when it was just like, okay,
yeah.
all right, you need to get back to being focused and get back to doing what you were doing so that you can meet your goal.
Discipline is such a good word, a key word, right? And
Yes.
in all of our lives, and because we're talking about this amazing journey you're on. Discipline. How did you manage discipline? Because, like you said, we talked about the highs, the lows. We just
Mhm.
kind of talked a little bit about setbacks. So, having all that, how do you now maintain discipline? Because I can be extreme in a sense, Dr. Tay, where okay, I know I'm not supposed to eat this, so I go all the way to the left and I won't eat like that. But then I'll swing all the way to the right. Sometimes I don't know how to find balance in discipline.
Mhm.
How do you do that? And I can go one way or the other and never meet up in the middle somewhere. So how do I balance that part of discipline that I need, you know?
First, like you said, it's a mental thing. It all starts up here. So, you have to kind of sit down with yourself. If you don't have a therapist, sit down with yourself and say, okay, why am I so black and white one
Right.
end versus the other?
Yeah.
And that might be, that might cause you to unearth some things.
Mhm.
Sometimes because when we're in the gray, when we're in the middle, there's a certain degree of unknown.
That's so good.
And
That's
some of us have trauma that's related to the unknown. Some of us have anxiety disorders, and anxiety is what? An intense fear of the unknown. So
yeah.
we try to go all the way left or all the way right because that is what we can control. In the gray, we don't always have control. So for some people, I can control what goes in my mouth.
Mhm. Mhm.
I couldn't control the trauma when I was a child, but I can control what I eat.
Mm.
People said that I couldn't do this and I couldn't achieve that. Oh, but I can starve myself going. That's black
right,
or white. So we have to really think about why we are extremists in that way, and then work to find balance.
right.
Work to live in the gray. That's one thing that I say to my clients often. Live in the gray. It's uncomfortable. And
Yeah,
sometimes gray means there are clouds. There's uncertainty in the gray. But
yeah.
you learn to be uncomfortable. I mean, you learn to be comfortable with uncertainty
Mm,
because life is always going to bring uncertainty no matter what. So it's either you get used to it or
right.
you succumb to it by being anxious.
And I love that term, living in the gray, because it's true. It's gray means it's just something that's just not clear. And I
Mhm.
like the fact that you said that. And I'm gonna kind of like reanalyze. I'm gonna do an audit on myself because I really no, really, Dr. Tay, because I really want to know. You said some powerful things why I can be black and or white, and I don't live in the gray. Like just, and then when I live in the gray, just relax in that moment. Like it's okay, you'll find your balance, and that it's okay.
Mhm.
I thank you for that. That was really good. So this, I also have to ask this question. I know I'm on your journey. Did you
Mhm.
exercise as well?
I didn't hear you. You cut out.
Did you do a whole lot of exercising, going to the gym, and all of that?
Sometimes at different points of my journey because my weight loss journey has been it's been years, but this time I found something that worked for me. And I love to walk. So that's what I do. I'm intentional about walking. Like I haven't done any strength training, and that's like one of my next goals. So when I meet my goal weight, I'm going to, like, I already talked to a trainer. I'm like, look, when we hit this number, I'm gonna book. How many sessions? Do you have a package deal? You know what I mean? But
Right.
I focus on walking, and also the things that I can kind of do with the children in tow. So like we'll walk around the block,
Mm,
or we'll take the long way. I'll park far in the parking lot, like different things like that. So it's not an intentional, I'm going to the gym type of exercise, but it's
okay.
small changes. So parking farther in the parking lot, or,
Yeah.
walking around the perimeter of the grocery store as opposed to, going straight for what I need. So
Mhm.
little things like that make a big difference.
Now you're a psychologist, right?
Yes.
For sure. Okay, psychologist. Having that knowledge, because you have all this knowledge, right? All this school and all this knowledge. Was it difficult for you to apply that knowledge to yourself? You know what I'm saying? Because
Absolutely.
wait a minute, because
Oh, yeah.
wait, this is what you do to help people like us. So here it is
Yeah.
somebody that has the knowledge, that has the wherewithal, and now you have to apply some of these principles to yourself. How did you do that?
It's a challenge sometimes, and it's a challenge for different reasons. Sometimes it's just like, I should be doing this, I should know this. But just because you learn something in a classroom and in a book doesn't mean that you are able to apply it to yourself. That means that you can teach.
Yeah.
Some teachers are terrible teachers, but they were great students.
Mm,
Just because you have one doesn't mean that you're the other. So, yes, I know, like, the psychological things, like the stages of change, and motivational interviewing. I know all of that. But when it comes to me, it's different. And I think that's the case with a lot of clinicians. Like, it's difficult, and I think part of it is kind of like a Superman complex.
Ooh, okay.
Hero complex. It's just like, you should know. You should be good.
Right,
You know this already. M
right.
Forgetting the fact that we're all human. Like, I started off by telling you, like, I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. I'm a psychologist. I treat people
That's good.
with anxiety disorders, but we have to come to terms with the fact that we're human.
Mhm.
We are just like our clients,
That's so true.
and we could very much benefit from things that we teach.
Wow, that's so good. Listen, we're going to take a commercial. We're coming back with Dr. Tay, becoming your best you. This journey, I feel like I'm on the journey with her right now because she's giving me some good help. So we want to thank. We're so grateful for our audience that's chiming in, Renee and Andre. We'll be back with some more of Dr. Tay. Well, excuse me. Welcome back to Real Talk. I've been having such a wonderful conversation with one of my favorite people that come on my show, which I love dearly, Dr. Tay Bassett. Please come on back, Dr. Tay. Come back. We've been talking about becoming your best you. And before we took the commercial break, Dr. Tay, we were able to see some of her transformation pictures of just how her journey has been. And I would dare say that just based on your pictures, look, this is amazing. Like you look amazing,
Thank you. Thank
absolutely
you.
amazing. And can I tell you what I see? I see such confidence. I see such confidence. Let's talk about that for a few minutes. Let's talk about your confidence and
That's my
you know
favorite one. I
with this
took that picture
whole,
on the right. I
yeah,
took that
look
today.
at that.
I took that today because I was cleaning out my closet and I found the dress. I was like, "Ooh, I need a before and after picture."
Oh my, that's amazing.
Yeah, I like literally ran out the house barefoot. I was like, "Taya, come take a picture of me."
Oh my goodness. Same
Mhm.
dress.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
Yep,
What
40
does
pounds difference.
what does this confidence do for you?
Ah, it's people talk about transferable skills.
Mm.
It has become a transferable skill because there are so many things that go on in my brain and things about what I can accomplish and what might not be able to be done and what I might not be equipped to do. So every time I get
I think we might have lost Dr. Tay, but I'm pretty sure she will be back, and there she is.
okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry about that.
That's
Um yeah, it becomes a transferable skill because there's so many things that I question myself about, am I capable? Am I competent? But then I look at the pictures, I look at the scale, and it's just like, yeah, yeah, you are. You did it in this area, so you can absolutely do it in another area.
And that's where I wanted to go, Dr. Tay, exactly right there in that point about confidence, how we're talking about your journey, we're talking about the weight loss, and but I do want to talk about, like you said, it goes into so many different areas that it just builds this value system
Mhm.
in us. Because I think that's one of the things that I lacked. I mean, I'm a lot older now and I'm not smart, but just learned a little bit from experience. My value system has increased so much in who I am and whose I am. And I'm
Mhm.
grateful for that. But there are those other areas, as I was very transparent to tell you about my black and white syndrome.
Mhm.
And you sat here and gave me some counseling to tell me, wait, Ray Jean, listen, she just told me a little while ago, I got to be in the gray.
Hey, Pastor Ray.
I receive it. I receive it. I got to be in the gray. But I want to talk about the value system that you have now. I see it in your clothes. I see it in your face. I see it in your style. But the Dr. Tay that has this exuberant amount of value. Because let me tell you something, value speaks. It speaks
Mhm.
loud. Because sometimes people devalue us. Now
Yes.
you understand? So I want to talk about that. Valuable
Mhm.
and devaluable.
Yeah. So, it's not just about weight. It's not just about numbers on a scale. It's
Mm,
about really showing yourself what you are capable of
yeah.
and reminding yourself of what you have to live for. There's an activity that I do with my clients sometimes. It's called a values card sort. And sometimes like we don't know, like we know that there are important things in life, but we're not really sure what what drives us. What's the driving force behind our weight loss? What's the
Yeah.
driving force behind us pursuing our goals? So sometimes I have my clients go through that exercise,
I love that.
and basically you have to choose out of 80, you have to categorize out of 80 concepts, put them in various categories from not important at all to very important. And after that, you go from 80 to 3. Sometimes I'll give them 5. And you have to choose what values mean the most to you. And I think any process that involves pursuing a goal, whether it's weight loss or
Yeah.
studying for an exam, which is my story as well, it helps you to sort out your values.
Wow.
So when it's like, okay, do I eat this burger or do I opt for the salad when when I'm out to eat? What's the value that's going to drive your decision?
Wow.
I think one of the biggest parts of pursuing and achieving a goal is
Mhm.
identifying your why.
Oh,
And
you
your why is wrapped up in your value system.
mhm.
A friend of mine is on here, Andre. He was actually co-teaching a class with me, and he said once you identify your why,
I
you'll
love that.
figure out how. And that was so impactful for me.
So
My
once
why is the little people who are upstairs, you know?
that's
So
it.
it's just like I want to be around.
Okay.
That's my why. And I figured out how.
I love that. So figure out your why,
Hmm.
and then you find your how, or you understand your
Yep.
how.
Yep.
So why, how, and then what comes after the how? Is there anything after the how?
Mm. After the how, you do.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
you can know
Okay.
your why. You can establish your values and have them wrapped up in your why. You can
Yeah.
have the how,
Yeah.
but then you have to do it.
Mm.
Because all of us, we there's so many books that are instruction manuals and how
Mhm.
to eat this and juicing books and uh,
Right.
I
Right.
mean, we can go spiritual. We have the Bible that's a
Come
book
on.
of instructions, right? But there's a disconnect sometimes between the how and the do. Because
Okay.
the how is the instructions,
Right. Right.
but then we just need the motivation in order to get to the do.
That's it. That's it. That was so good. Wow, thank you for that. Because that just, I was like, okay, that made sense to me. The why, the how, and then you have the application.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
that's the part that's so important. Okay, so one of your clients come in. I love that exercise that you do. I want to go to your book. I want to go to your book. And I should have pulled it out because I have a copy. I literally have
Thank you so much.
part of when you did the book, which I was so happy for you, was that also a part of this journey? Were you on a journey when you did the book? Was that part of that value system and getting and accomplishing? And I want to talk about that because hearing you talk, we talked before, but now I'm trying to put the book with it because it makes sense to me because the
Mhm.
book is so powerful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I was Yes, it was part of a journey. It wasn't necessarily part of my weight loss journey, but 21-day reset, like a lot of people do a 21-day detox. So in that sense, oh, it fits right in. Weight
Hmm.
loss is a goal. The book is about achieving goals. So that makes sense. But it was a part of my journey because publishing, talking about worth and value, right? Publishing that book showed me my value.
I love that.
Like, and a lot of us, we go about life saying, oh, well, your value should be from internal, it should be internal, and
Mm,
you should need external validation. I needed that book for me.
that's so good.
And
That's
it's helped people, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful that
yes.
that's what it was meant to do. But actually publishing it
Mm,
was part of a journey. Um, I might have mentioned it when I talked to you about the book before. On various occasions, two specifically, I was told that I am a poor writer. I was told once in high school at parent teacher conference. I remember being in the hallway. My AP, no, honors English.
honors.
I got there somehow, right? My honors English teacher told my mother that I was not the best writer. And again, in my doctoral program, I was told, it was written in red pen. As a professor, I never write in red because it can just be traumatic. But in
Right.
red pen, it was written that this is not doctoral level writing.
Mm,
So that has, it, I've carried it.
yeah.
So even when it comes to like notes, I'll sit on my notes anxious about whether or not they're going to be good notes.
Interesting.
Writing has been
Yeah.
extremely anxiety provoking for me.
Yeah.
So a book that I said I was going to write 5 years ago, me publishing it,
Mhm.
that was my reset. That showed me that the value is there. The value has always been there, but you have to accept it and you have to function in it. You know the how, but
Right.
now you have to do. And I did it. And
Right.
I'm not going to say that I just sat down. I'm like, I'm going to write this book.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see my value. Ma'am, it was a faith. It was it was faith and works.
I love
Honey,
it.
it wasn't all just it wasn't on me.
Wow.
I did the work 5 years prior, but then I was anxious and I was sitting
Mhm.
in a church service. Said now's the time. And it was right before the new year. And everybody wants a new year, new me, reset, resolution. I was like,
Mhm.
God, but the new year, it's coming. It's in less than 2 weeks. You want me to do what? You
Right.
really? So I had put in the work. It was kind of
Yes.
like split up, right? But then that word from God activated it. And then
Mm,
in 11 days, I published the book. But it was like full speed ahead because in those 11 days, I had to, because I just had like a skeleton. In those
okay.
11 days, I had to flesh out 21 chapters plus my intro and everything. Um, I had to get it edited, had to
Mm-hmm.
find a printer.
That's right.
I had to make decisions about how I was going to publish it, whether I was going to use another company or if I was going to do it all myself, like all in 11 days. So that was the faith plus the works. It was my journey, yes, and I needed it, but it wasn't something that I was 100% intentional about. I needed the push.
That's so motivating, Dr. Tay, because there's so many people like you could be listening to you and they'll go back in the replay that need becoming your best you. I love that about you. It wasn't just your physical body, it was the internal you. And then it was the you that had some goals and some things. And I love how you could take all that and she just went, put it all here for us to say, you know what? If Dr. Tay can do it, can do it. And for
Yes.
anybody that's listening to Dr. T tonight, not because I think she is one of my faves, but she really is intentional. And that's another thing about you. I love the fact you were intentional though, because you heard a word. And see, and that's where faith comes in. You
Mhm.
faith without works is dead.
Yep.
You heard a word, you put into action your faith, right? And then you did it. And I tell you, this I know we've done shows before, but this has been so motivating for me because I feel like I'm transitioning myself into this whole nother journey. I've been traveling a lot, and we'll talk offline about some other things another time, but I've been traveling a lot with some things God has laid on my heart to do, and I'm watching
Mm,
the doors just kind of swing open, which is why I was asking you so many questions. And for those that are listening, you talked about the why, and
mhm.
now I'm seeing the how.
Mm, so
So
good.
that was so relevant. And, and I'm sitting here going, oh my goodness, this is so good. So talk to my viewing audience, give them a last minute recap on your journey becoming your best Dr. Tay.
Like, ooh,
I
that
know.
was such a pregnant pause.
Yes.
But in order to be your best you, first, just to recap, you have to identify that there's always room for improvement. And once you've come to terms with that, then you identify your why, like my personal journey, the one that we're talking about is my weight loss. Why did I want to lose weight? Is it for aesthetics? Is it for health? I think health was the top. Of course, I want to, be able to wear what I want.
Right.
But identify your why. My why was my health, my children. Once you identify your why, then you figure out how. And sometimes it's a matter of figuring out and not just an instruction manual being dropped in front of you. Your 21-day reset is not just going to drop in front of you. You have to go to a website for it. But you need to identify your how.
Mm-hmm.
Your how might not always be traditional, it might be unorthodox,
Yeah.
but it's yours. So I accept the fact that you need change, identify your why, find your how, and then muster up the motivation to do.
I love it.
That's how you achieve your goals. Even with weight loss. It's hard. It's difficult. Yes, it is. I love cheesecake,
Oh, me
but
too.
that's not on my protocol. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I'm coaching people on weight loss. I have to remember my why and translate that to them. I have to remember my how and translate that to them.
Yeah.
But if I'm not doing,
Yeah.
the oil isn't going to flow. We know the word, right? The oil flows from the head. The oil isn't going to flow to them
That's
if
right.
I'm not doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So accept, and once you go through acceptance, then it's your why, your how, and your do.
Wow. That was so good. And also, I thought about you and you were talking, Dr. Tay, about being the first partaker. And that's good. That's good.
Mhm.
Well, listen, to my viewing audience, to Renee, to Andre, to Regine, God bless you. Good to see you. Thank you, Dr. Tay. This has been so good that I'm even going to go back and watch this my own self. I need to watch this as a replay because those were some great key points. And like I said, one day offline, I'll share some of the things that are
Awesome.
really, really amazing going on. That this is some good insights. So, Dr. Tay, it's always a blessing to have you on our show. Thank you for joining me tonight on Real Talk with Jean Price. And guess what? We'll see you next week. We want you all to have a wonderful, wonderful 4th of July. We'll see you next Wednesday on Real Talk with Jean Price. Good night.